My first guest tonight, ladies and gentlemen, is a comedian, but a comedian with a difference. I guess every comic at some time or others used a couple of old gags in the act. Well, this gentleman picks up the paper about 6 o'clock at night, takes it from there. The master of the topical one-liner, Ted Rogers.
What a good move. Didn't know you could do that.
Oh, well, you know, I have to move with my act. Pull up a newspaper and sit down would be the right thing to say to you, Ted. But where have you come from?
I've just come from Birmingham. Oh,
Well, down a motor... That'll be Spaghetti Junction.
oh, that's marvellous these days, that Spaghetti Junction. I bet you didn't realise, you know, it's such a big mess. But it was a terrible mistake. It cost £9 million and it was all a big mistake. They built the architect's doodle.
Ah, I can believe that, actually. See, what amazes me about you, Ted, is that you come out and you literally do, you know, get the newspapers and you fire away off the headlines within 5 minutes. I mean, you've literally done it within hours, I know, and minutes. I've tried that and I've got into trouble.
You have?
Yeah, well, you remember poor Victor?
Oh, Victor, the giraffe.
You remember Victor the giraffe? I was doing gags, but Colin, you see, that my musical director, I'm always bouncing gags off Colin. And I was mentioning that Colin had called me over to the hotel, said, come over, I'm in trouble. And I went over and he was there in the splits with a smile on his face. And he got a laugh for about a couple of nights. And then one night I did the gag, nothing.
Oh, dear.
And I suddenly realised that Victor had gone to the happy hunting ground in the sky. And I was in a terrible position because I thought everybody out there's going to think he hates animals and everyone's going to...
No, you see, it was a lovely animal. It was such a shame that happened. But I know how you feel because, well, everyone's been so good about it. In fact, there's a museum that now wants to stuff Victor, which is a bit ironic when you think what he was doing when he collapsed.
I was looking at the newspaper, seeing if there were things in here which, you know, it's not the best newspapers today. It's Sunday newspapers. We record the
Always
show.
a slow news day Sunday. Always.
Is that a fact?
That's it.
You know.
Sin, sex, and anything else.
And what would you... I mean, there must be times when you can't find anything in the newspapers. You go into fruitful areas.
Like greengrocers and stuff, yeah.
But
no.
Sportsmen, I suppose you can always deal with football. You can deal with football.
Don't listen. I'm a Chelsea fan, so I've got troubles of my own. Are you? Who do you support?
Well, I'm really a Millwall supporter, so we've both got troubles.
Oh, you got a couple out there.
Yeah, but sport, I suppose, is an area which, because we're dealing with men, and most men can take gags there. So you can do jokes about racing. No, let's not do jokes about racing.
Yes, please.
Oh, really? There you go. You got somebody in...
We've got a female Lester Piggott out there.
Yeah, that was it. He's your favourite. Who, Lester is, love? Really? Love? He got done, didn't he, again, for speeding. 4 endorsements he's got. What's he on, an accumulator? No, but it's unbelievable when you think, you know, a lot of people are a bit upset that he got what he got. He got fined £60 for speeding. In fact, he made £2,000 out of the deal. He did. He bet Ladbrokes that the police car would come second.
I've never held a conversation 3 ways before. Madam.
I didn't need this. You could have turned up here. I'd have been out there.
Would you just breathe in? Sort of lady goes on holiday and comes home with a sunburned tongue. Just... Talking about football, you have to move on to cricket. And I suppose cricket. The Kerry Packer situation would have given you, knowing you...
Well, actually, my mum knows nothing at all about cricket. She thinks Kerry Packer's an Irishman who fills cardboard boxes. But that situation it's enraged a lot of people, and when you think about it, I mean, what have we got? We've got the argument in court between him and the MCC, and really, it's all because Kerry Packer picked a pack of Pucker players, promising a princely pile to all who play. But people protested profusely at Pommy Poacher Packer, telling him to go away. Punctured Packer politely prompted, "You're proper nosy Parkers, and the players purchased a mind to buy."
See, Ted, you've been running around the world, I know, and I'm delighted that you're coming tonight because it's your night off.
Yes.
And I don't know what you normally do when you're relaxed.
Well,
read the papers, I suppose.
Yeah, well, I know. I go to sleep with the paper over my face. No, I play a lot of golf. I'm not very good, but I play.
Pictures? You go to
cinema?
cinema?
Well, I like cinema. There's some great movies around at the moment. Do you get to the cinema much?
Occasionally.
Tell you what, have you seen The Bridge Too Far yet? The Arnhem picture?
No.
No, that's it. Has anybody here seen that? Oh,
She will have.
She's been. She was. She was starring in it. She was. Who
Wish
was?
they'd have dropped her as well.
No, but it's a terrific movie, you know, when you think about that, because, I mean, the scenes in that film, the battle scenes, they were so realistic, because they weren't filmed at Arnhem, they were filmed at Grumwick.
Grumwick. That's pretty violent.
But listen, here, when you think about that, I mean, you and I, we must have been kids, right, when that was going on, that big battle. Well, at least I was. Anyway, no, but we don't know anything about it, and when you see a picture like that, Des, you realise what a terrible mistake it really was. I mean, the paratroopers, they were dropped on top of 2 German Panzer divisions, and then when they got down there, the radio receivers, they wouldn't work. And then the second drop, that was too late because of the weather. And if that wasn't enough, Vera Lynn had a sore throat. Couldn't win.
Have you worked with Vera Lynn, Father?
No, I don't think I will after that. No,
You work with practically every star in the business, and by that I mean American stars. And at the risk of embarrassing you, Ted, you've just about you've supported every big name, Perry Como, Jack Jones, or you could reel them, and Dear Lovely Bing. I mean, you were, I think, the last entertainer to, be on the show with them.
Yeah, right, that's true. I did, in fact, do the very, very last performance that Bing ever gave, and I'm still terribly upset about it, like the whole world is. But a marvellous man. And that, of course, me getting together with Crosby was through Perry Como. Yeah. I had a call about 2 months after working with Perry, and this voice suddenly says, is that Ted Rogers? I said, yes, this is Hollywood. I said, oh, don't mess about. Who is it? I mean, it really was the great man, and suddenly he says, I'm coming over there, and they tell me of all the people I've got to work with you. So we went to the Palladium, to Dublin, Edinburgh, then he took me to Las Vegas and Broadway.
What do you think of Las Vegas?
Oh, fantastic. Okay for 5 days, then you've got to give up, right? Yeah. It was a great place to play. See, I find that the Americans, you must have found the same, because you played there, Des. I mean, we have the same language, but they've got a language all of their own, really. If you
we invented it.
What they've done to it, who knows? But I needed a car. I got it to Avis, and I said to a fella, I said, I'd like to rent a car. So he looked to another guy, he said, hey, man, he said, there's a dude here with the threads. He wants some wheels, and he's got the bread. I didn't know whether I was going to drive a car or deliver for Mother's Pride.
It makes me proud. Maybe I'm old-fashioned, but I still think this is the best country in the world. When I see that red, white, and blue Union Jack, it's
kept patriotic.
British.
Yeah, it's it. Well, we're all British, think British, you've got to buy British. See, Peter Shaw says that there are not enough people thinking British. But how can you really think British if you really think about it? I mean, you come home from work, the wife waves you through the Venetian blind, meets you at the French windows with the Afghan hound and the Siamese cat. Sits you down to a meal of a hamburger, Swede, Brussels sprouts, followed by Danish pastry, Swiss roll, and then says, here, let's go out to eat tomorrow. I said, well, who's going to pay? She said, we go Dutch. You don't have any guys. No whatsoever.
But the lovely thing about you is that you do. I find it totally unique. I think you're the only one in this country doing it. We throw a subject at you, or it's thrown at you in a headline, and you've got a gag about it. Punk rock. I'm throwing the punk rock. What would you do on punk rock?
Well, I haven't seen a great deal other than what I've seen in the papers on television, but although I did in fact meet Johnny Rotten, would you believe?
Johnny Rotten? That's his
he's the leader. Oh, there's Johnny Rotten, Sid Vicious, yeah, Fred Filth. I can't tell you the last one's name. Anyway, I met Johnny Rotten. I said, Johnny, you know you've got this safety pin through your top lip. He said, yeah. I said, well, why don't you put it through your bottom lip as well? He said I wouldn't be able to sing then. I said, that's right.
Would you do, if there was anything in the papers about British Railway, television? Could television? I'm throwing inflation.
Well, British Rail, they were in real problems in the bread strike because they only had enough sandwiches to last until December the 8th.
And they were yawning at the end.
You've seen it.
What about inflation? I mean, that's on every...
Inflation, well, that's gone. We're reducing that, thank goodness, at long last. I think the burning issue today is nationalisation. And you know what nationalisation is?
Tell me.
That's when the government take over a going concern and in 1 year it's gone.
I have to say, Ted, that I think takes a certain amount of courage to do that kind of joke, because you know, they could be, it could be Mrs. Thatcher or Mr.
That's
Wilson.
right.
Mrs. Thatcher would be going, yeah, tell him, Ted.
And the other one will be going, oh, get out, yeah, right. I know.
But when you work in a theatre and you do gags about people, I mean, are you scared about, you know, going out of the stage door?
Well, with an act like mine, I never go out the stage door. I get a shovel and I dig.
Well, I don't think he's going to have to dig his way out tonight. Do you, ladies and gentlemen? Ladies and gentlemen, Ted Rogers.